Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will be covering complete unit 2 in DBMS subject. Guys, I will explain all these topics in detail. And whatever the topics that I am going to cover in this video, I will provide all those topics and the timings in description. So before starting this video, please check in description. Guys, I have uploaded complete DBMS subject tutorials. I will provide link in description, you can watch from there. I also provided unit 2 study material link in description. You can download from description. If you are watching this video for the first time, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Let's get started. At first I will explain what is relational model in DBMS. E.F. Codd is the person who developed relational model in 1970s. Guys, relational model is nothing but database which shows data in the form of tables. That is in the form of rows and columns is known as relational model. So relational model can be represented as a table with columns and rows. For example, let us consider there is college database. Inside college database, there is student table. Guys, we also call this student table as relation. The student is nothing but table name, or you can also call this table name as relation. Why we call it as relation? Because if you consider the student table, in this student table we will store only student related information like student name, student roll number and student section. For example, let us consider there are two tables. By using primary key and foreign key, I can relate these two tables. That is nothing but I can connect these two tables. That is why we call this table name as relation. So you can call this student as table or you can also call it as relation. Whereas this name, roll number and section are column names. You can also call these column names as fields or you can also call them as attributes. All are same. For example, if you consider name column, you can also call this name column as name field or you can also call it as name attribute. All are same, don't get confused. For example, if you consider name Sai, roll number 121 and section A, this is one row. So we call it as row. So we can also call this row as tuple or we can also call this row as record. So name Sai, roll number 121 and section A. It is considered as row or tuple or record. All are same. Each column is known as field or attribute. These are advantages of relational model. First one is simple. When compared to all models, relational model is very simple because if you know SQL, that is structured query language, you can easily use this relational model. And next one is accuracy. Whatever the data that is present inside relational model, all those data will be correct because relational model will not allow duplicate values and all those data is in well organized format. So accuracy is one of the advantage. And next advantage is security. Relational model contains various access permissions and also we can keep password to our database. So only authorized users can access database. That is why this relational model is secure. And last advantage is flexible. Flexible is nothing but we can easily insert data, update data or delete data in database. That is why this relational model is flexible. And next I will explain disadvantages of relational model. In order to use relational database, you need high hardware support like you need high-end RAM, processor, hard disk, etc. Otherwise it will cause hardware problems. And this relational model is not suitable for large databases. These are disadvantages of relational model. Guys, in exam you may get separate question like explain relational model or explain relational database. Whenever these questions come in exam, you can write this answer. Next I will explain database language topic in DBMS. Guys, normally if you want to communicate with any person, directly you can communicate in English language or Hindi language or any other languages. But database software cannot understand our languages. So in order to communicate with database software, we need database languages. Total there are 4 categories of database languages. They are data definition language, shortly we call it as DDL, data manipulation language, shortly we call it as DML, transaction control language TCL and data control language DCL. I will explain all these languages by giving various examples. Guys, we also call database languages as query languages or data query languages or SQL languages. All are same. Database languages are nothing but they are programming languages that developers use to interact with databases. By using these languages, database developers can perform various operations on database like they can define data, they can access data, they can update data and so on in databases. There are various DBMS softwares that use various database languages in order to perform various operations on database. And that one of the popular database language is SQL. This SQL is one of the standard programming language for managing database softwares. Oracle, MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server and etc. All the softwares use SQL. So it is considered as standard programming language. These are 4 categories of database languages. At first I will explain what is data definition language. Shortly we call it as DDL. Guys, data definition language is used to define structure of database. Defining structure is nothing but creating tables, columns, etc. Guys, I will give one simple example so that you can clearly understand what is use of this data definition language. For example, by using data definition language, I created college database. Inside college database, I created student table. Inside student table, I inserted 3 columns. They are name, roll number and section. For example, I want to insert data like name Sai, roll number 21 and section A. But we cannot insert data by using data definition language. We can only define structure of database. That is nothing but by using data definition language, we can only create database, we can create table and we can create columns. But we cannot insert data. So the name itself says data definition language. That is nothing but defining only structure of database. But we cannot insert data or we cannot delete data. Structure is nothing but creating database, creating student table and creating columns. All this comes under structure of database. These are various commands in data definition language. I will explain all these commands by giving examples. At first I will explain what is use of create command. By using create command, we can create objects in database. Objects are nothing but by using this create command we can create tables and as well as columns. Not only tables and columns, by using this create command we can also create database. At first I will explain how to create database and how to delete database. Guys, whenever you open your database software, first thing you need to do is you need to create database. By using create command, we can create database. So this is syntax in order to create database. So in order to create database, at first you need to write create database and here you need to give your database name. This is syntax. For example, I want to create college database. So in order to create college database, you need to write statement like create database. Here I want to give database name as college. So just write here college. So just write here create database college and at last give semicolon. Guys, definitely at last give semicolon or else it will display error. So whenever you write this statement and click enter, it will create college database. Now in my database software, college database is created. Just now we created college database. Now we will check whether college database is created or not. In order to check whether college database is created or not, just we need to write statement that is show databases and give semicolon. Guys, definitely you must write here show databases, not show database, because in database software, not only single database, there will be multiple databases. So definitely write here show databases and give semicolon. Whenever you write this code and click enter, you will get output. It will display all databases present in my database software. So there is only one database, that is college database. So it will display college database. Now inside this college database, I want to create student table. And this student table must contain 3 columns. They are name, roll number and section. I will write code in order to create student table. In order to create student table inside this college database, at first you need to write use college, where college is my database name. Whenever you write here use college, now whatever the tables that we create, all these tables are stored in college database. So definitely write use college. Now we will create student table. So just write here create. In order to create student table, you need to use create command. So just write here create table and I want to give table name as student. So just write here student, open bracket. Now inside this student table, I want to create 3 columns. One column is name, next column is roll number and next column is section. So first column name is name. So just write here name, which is column name, and here you need to give data type. Normally we will give names like Nagendra, Sai, Shiva, so on. All are character data types. So you need to write a data type, that is varchar, where varchar stands for variable character. And inside bracket you need to give size. For example, if you consider name Sai, Sai is of 3 characters, 1, 2, 3. For example, if you consider Shiva, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Total 5 characters. Now I want to give limit, that is size 50, where Sai is 3 characters, Shiva is 5 characters. Like this, each name can contain up to 50 characters. Comma, next column is rule number. So just write here rule number. Guys, just remember that we should not give any space between these column names. And here you need to give data type. For example, I want to give rule numbers like rule number 1, 2, 3, 10, so on. So you need to write here data type, that is int. In order to enter numbers, you need to write data type, that is int, comma. Next column is section. So just write here section, and here you need to give data type. I want to give section like section A, B, C, so on. So all are single characters. So you need to give data type, that is varchar. For example, I will give here size 10. That means this section column will support up to 10 characters. We open bracket. Now we need to close this bracket and give semicolon. Guys, definitely give semicolon. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will create student table with 3 columns: name, roll number and section. Now we created student table inside college database. Now I want to check whether table is created or not. In order to check whether table is created or not, you need to write code, that is show tables and give semicolon. Whenever you write here show tables, it will display all tables which is present in my college database. Just now we created only one table. So whenever you write here show tables, I will get output, that is student, because there is only one table in my college database. Whenever you write show databases, it will display all databases which is present in my database software. Whenever you write here show tables, it will display all tables which is present in my particular database. For example, there are 10 tables in my college database. So whenever I write here show tables, it will display complete names of all 10 tables which is present in my college database. I don't want to see only table name. I want to see all columns which is present in my student table. So for that purpose, you need to write code, that is describe. Here you need to use describe command. I want to see all columns which is present in student table. So just write describe student and give semicolon. Whenever you write this code, this is my output. It will display all 3 columns: name, roll number and section. Instead of writing describe, you can also use shortcut, that is DESC. DESC student. Whenever you write DESC student, this is my output. It will display all columns which is present in student table. Next I will explain what is use of drop command. Whereas create command is used to create database objects like databases, tables, etc. And whereas drop command is used to delete database objects like databases, tables, etc. We created student table. Now I want to delete this student table. So in order to delete student table, you need to write code, that is drop table, and here you need to give table name. My table name is student. So just write here drop table student. Guys, all are small letters. Drop table student and give semicolon. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will delete my student table. For example, I want to delete complete database. So in order to delete complete database, you need to write drop database, and here you need to give database name. For example, I want to delete college database. So just write drop database college. So whenever you write this code and click enter, my complete database will be deleted. Guys, for example, my college database contains total 10 tables. So whenever I write this code, my database and as well as 10 tables will be deleted. This is all about drop command. Next I will explain what is use of rename command. Rename command is used to rename existing table. For example, there is student table. Now I want to change name student to students. In order to change name from student to students, you need to use rename command. So just write here rename, all are small letters. Guys, not only small letters, you can also use capital letters. So just write here rename table, and here you need to give old table name. My old table name is student. So just write here student to new table name. I want to change name student to students. So just write here students. Rename table, old table name to new table name. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will change name from student to students. Now my table name is students. By using rename command, we can only rename tables. We cannot rename databases. Semicolon is mandatory. Next I will explain what is use of truncate command. This truncate command is used to remove all data which is present in my table. For example, there is student table. In this student table, there is some data like name Sai, roll number 1, section A, name Shiva, roll number 2, section B, and name Ramesh, roll number 3 and section C. Now I don't want to delete table and I don't want to delete columns. Just I want to remove all this data which is present in my table. For that purpose, we need to use truncate command. So just write here truncate table and give table name. My table name is student. So just write here student. Whenever you write this code and click enter, my table will look like this. It will remove all data which is present in my table. This is use of truncate command. Truncate command will not delete table and columns. Just it will delete complete data which is present in my table. Till now I explained what is use of create command, drop command, truncate command and rename command. Next I will explain what is use of alter command. Guys, we will apply alter command only on columns. Alter is nothing but modify. By using this alter command, We can modify structure of existing database objects like tables, columns, etc. Guys, by using alter command, we can perform various operations on columns. These are 4 basic operations that we can perform on columns by using this alter command. By using alter command, we can add columns, we can modify columns, we can rename column names, and also we can delete columns. I will explain all these operations by giving examples. At first, I will explain how to add new column by using alter command. For example, there is student table. In this student table, there are 3 columns: name, roll number, section. Now I want to add one new column, that is age. I want to add age column to this table. So just write here alter table and my table name is student. So alter table student, add column, here column name. I want to add age column. So just write here age. We'll give age like 12, 13, 20, etc. So I will give data type, that is int. Alter table table name, add column, column name and data type and give semicolon. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will add one new column. That column name is age to the student table and this age column data type is int. I want to check whether column is created or not. So just write here describe and my table name is student. Whenever you write describe student, it will display this output. You can see new column with name age. By using alter add, you can add new column. For example, for age column I given data type int, but I changed my mind. This time I want to change this data type to varchar 10. For example, I want to give data like ONE1, FIV, FI like that. So now I need to change this age column data type as varchar. So for that purpose you need to use alter modify, where alter modify is used to modify data type of existing column. So just write here alter table and table name is student. So alter table table name, my table name is student, modify column. I want to change data type of age column. So just write here column name, that is age, and here you need to give new data type. Here I want to give new data type, that is varchar, and I want to give size up to 50 and give semicolon. Alter table table name, modify column column name, that is age, and give data type. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will change my data type varchar. My column name is age. Now I want to change this column name to my age. For that purpose we need to use alter rename. So for that purpose you need to write alter table, table name is student, student, rename column, my old column name is age. So rename column, old column name to new column name, that is my age. There is no need of giving data type. Just write here alter table table name, rename column, old column name to new column name, that is my age. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will change name from age to my age. And last one is drop. I want to delete this my age column. So just write alter table, table name is student, drop column, my column name is my age. So just write here my age and at last give semicolon. Alter table table name, drop column column name. So whenever you write this line of code and click enter, my age column is removed. Now there are only 3 columns. Guys, in exam you may get separate question about alter command. So write these 4 operations in exam. This is all about DDL commands. Next I will explain what is use of DML commands. Guys, normally by using data definition language, we can only define structure of database. That is nothing but creating database, tables and columns. But we cannot insert or update or delete data by using data definition language. So in order to insert, update, delete or retrieve data, we need to use data manipulation language. By using data manipulation language, we can perform various operations on data which is present in my table. By using data manipulation language, we can interact and we can manipulate data which is stored in database. We can perform various operations like inserting, updating, deleting and retrieving data. These are various commands that we use in data manipulation language. Insert command in order to insert data, update command in order to update data and delete command in order to delete data. And whereas select command is used to see output. At first I will explain what is use of insert command. For example, there is college database. Inside college database there is student table. Student table contains 3 columns. They are name, roll number and section. Now I want to insert data in this table. I want to insert name like name Sai, roll number 21 and section A, name Shiva, roll number 22, section B, and name Nagendra, roll number 23 and section C. In order to insert this data, you need to write code, that is, here you need to use insert command. Insert into, here you need to give table name. In which table you want to insert data? I want to insert data in student table. So just write insert into student insert into student values. I want to insert 3 records. First record is name Sai, rule number 21 and section A. So just open bracket, name Sai, where name is varchar data type. So just write Sai in quotations, comma, rule number 21. 21 is integer type. So there is no need of using quotations, just write 21. And section A, where section is varchar data type. So use quotations. Close this bracket, comma. Next record is Shiva. So Shiva in quotations, comma 22, comma section B in quotations. Close bracket, comma. Third record is name Nagendra, rule number 23 and section C. So again open bracket, name Nagendra in quotations, comma 23, comma C in quotations. And close this bracket and give semicolon. Whenever you write this code, it will insert these 3 records inside this student table. Guys, first column is name, next column is rule number and next column is section. So you need to insert data accordingly, that is, at first write name, next rule number and next one is section. This is how we insert data by using insert command. Now I want to see this entire table as output. So in order to see this entire table as output, you need to use select command. So just write here select star. Star is nothing but it will display complete table. Star from my table name is student. So just write here select star from student and give semicolon. So this is my output. Guys, just remember the star meant complete columns. So it will display all these 3 columns as output. So this is my output. Star meant complete columns. But I don't want this complete column as output. Just I want to see name column as output. So for that purpose you need to write select. So just write here select a name from student. So it will display only name column as output. So this is my output. I want to see name column and rule number column as output. So for that purpose you need to write select name comma rule number from student. Whenever you write select name comma rule number from student, it will display output name and as well as rule number columns. This is my output. For example, now I want to change name Sai to name Ganesh. In order to change any data which is present in my table, you need to use update command. So just write here update and table name. I want to update data which is present in student table. So just write here update student, set name equal to, I want to change name Sai to Ganesh. So just write here new name, that is Ganesh in quotations, where here Sai rule number is 21. So just write here where rule number equal to 21 and give semicolon. Meaning of this code is, it will change name Ganesh whose rule number is 21. Here Sai rule number is 21. So it will change name from Sai to Ganesh. For example, I want to change this Nagendra section as section D, not C. I want to change this section C to D. So for that purpose you need to write update student set. I want to change section from C to D. So just write here section equal to D in quotations, where rule number equal to 23. Meaning of this code is, it will change section to D whose rule number is 23. Here Nagendra rule number is 23. So it will update data to section D. Now I want to check whether data is updated or not. In order to check whether data is updated or not, you need to write code, that is select star from student, where star means complete columns. It will display all these 3 columns as output. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will display all columns from student table. So this is my output. If you observe this table, in this table it changes name Sai to Ganesh and section C to D. This is how we update data. Next I will explain how to delete data. Now I want to delete complete record of student whose rule number is 21. So just you need to use delete command. Delete from student, which is table name, where roll number equal to 21. Here Sai roll number is 21. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will delete complete record of student whose roll number is 21. So it will delete this entire record. Now I want to check whether record is deleted or not. So for that purpose you need to write select star, where star means complete columns, from table name student. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will display complete student table. And you can see only 2 records because Sai record is deleted. So it will display only 2 records as output. This is how we delete data by using delete command. By using insert command we can insert data. By using update command we can update data. By using delete command we can delete data. By using select command we can retrieve data. That is nothing but we can see output. Guys, we also call this select command as data query language. Now I will explain in detail about the select command. Guys, we also call this select command as data query language. Meaning of query is question. By using select command, we are questioning to our database. For example, I want to see complete student table as output. So for that purpose, we need to write select. So just write select star. Star means complete columns from table name, my table name is student. So just write here select star from student and give semicolon. That means I am questioning my database to provide complete student table as output. So query is nothing but question. By using select command, we can question to our database. That is why we call the select command as data query language. Guys, in exam you may get separate question like explain querying relational data. So whenever querying relational data or select command or data query language question comes in exam, then you need to explain in detail about the select command. Whenever you write select star from student, this is my output. Star means complete columns, but I don't want complete table. I just want only name column and roll number column as output. So whenever you write here select name comma roll number from student, it will display only data which is present in name column and roll number column. So whenever you write select name comma roll number from student, it will display only these two columns as output. This is my output. I don't want all these records. I just want only Sai record. Sai roll number is 1. So just I written here select star. Star means complete 3 columns. It will display Sai, roll number 1 and age 20. From student, here for condition you need to give where roll number equal to 1. This is my output. It will display name Sai, roll number 1 and age 20. For example, I just want only age of student whose roll number is 1. So in place of writing star, just you need to give age. Select age from student where roll number equal to 1. So it will display only age, that is 20. For example, I want record of student whose roll number is 3. So just you need to write select star from student where roll number equal to 3. It will display complete record of student whose roll number is 3. So it will display complete Ramesh record. You can apply multiple conditions by using AND. So just I written here select star means complete columns from student where age is greater than 12 and age is less than 21. If you observe this table, age is 18. Yes, 18 is greater than 12 and less than 21. 19 is greater than 12 and less than 21 accepted. Sai age 20. 20 is greater than 12 and less than 21 accepted. And next 21. 21 is greater than 12 but 21 is not less than 21. 21 equal to 21. So this is not accepted. And similarly 22. 22 is greater than 12 but 22 is not less than 21. 22 is greater than 21. So this is not accepted. So whenever I write select star from student where age is greater than 12 and age is less than 21, it will display output. Name Sai roll number 120, name Suresh roll number 4 and 19, name Rajesh roll number 5 and 18. By using AND we can give multiple conditions. Next I written here select star from student where age in 20, 30, 40. First one is 20. Yes, 20 is present. Sai age is 20. So it is accepted. And next 30. 30 is not present in this table. And next one is 40. Age 40 is not present in this table. Only age 20 is present. So I will get output. Name Sai, roll number 1 and age 20. This is my output. It will display all these 3 columns because I written here star. Star means all columns. Next I written here select star from student where I selected name column like S percentage in quotations. Guys, whenever you write S percentage in quotations, meaning of this is in name column starting letter must be S and remaining all letters are accepted. So whenever I write here select star from student where name like S percentage, it will display 3 records as output. They are Sai, Shiva and Suresh. This is my output. Next I written here select star from student where name like first time I written S percentage, that means starting letter must be S. This time I written here percentage A, that means starting any letters are accepted but last letter must be A. If you observe this table, last letter I not accepted and for Shiva last letter is A, so it is accepted and H, these 3 are not accepted. So whenever I write here select star from student where name like percentage A in quotations, it will display output, that is name Shiva, roll number 2 and age 21. This is my output. For example, I written select star from student order space by age. That means it will display student table as output according to order of age from small to big. If you see this age column, in this age column 18 is small. So at first it will display Rajesh 518 and next 19 is small. So Suresh 419, after that Sai 120, after that Shiva 221 and at last Ramesh 322. This is my output. Whenever you write here select star from student order by age, it will arrange age column in ascending order. For example, I want to arrange this age column in descending order, that is from big to small. So just write here select star from student order by age space DESC, that is descending order. So whenever you write here select star from student, order by age DESC and give semicolon and click enter. So it will display data in descending order according to age. This is all about select command. Next I will explain TCL, that is transaction control language. The name itself says transaction control language. So this transaction control language is used to manage transactions within a database. There are two commands in TCL, they are commit and rollback. I will explain these two commands by giving examples. Guys, for example, there is college database. Inside college database, there is student table. This is student table data. Now in this student table, I want to change name Sai to name Ganesh. Now I will perform this operation by using transaction control language. So at first write start transaction and give semicolon. My student table is present in college database. So at first you need to use college database. So write use college. Now in the student table, I want to change name Sai to name Ganesh. So just you need to use update command. So just write here update and table name. I want to update data which is present in student table. So just write update student. Set name equal to Ganesh where roll number equal to 1. Meaning of this code is it will change name to Ganesh whose roll number is 1. Here in this table, Sai roll number is 1. So it will change name from Sai to Ganesh. Guys, whenever you start any transaction, for each and every operation you need to use commit. So after performing this operation you need to write commit. Only after writing here commit, this operation will be permanently stored in our database. That is, it will change name from Sai to Ganesh and this information is permanently stored in database only after writing commit. For example, I written this code but I did not written here commit and I closed my software. Once if you close your software without writing commit, then this information will not be stored in our database. That is, it will not change name to Ganesh because we did not written here commit. So if you write commit, whatever the operations that you perform on database, that operations will be stored permanently in our database. So whenever you start any transaction, for each and every operation, you need to use commit. I written this transaction. Now I changed my mind. That is, I don't want to change name Sai to Ganesh. Now I want to undo this transaction. In order to undo any transaction, you can use rollback. So just after writing this transaction, just write here rollback and give semicolon and click enter. Whenever you write here rollback, it will undo this operation. That is, this operation will not take place. Guys, just remember that we can undo any transaction only before writing commit. After writing commit, we cannot undo any transaction. So use rollback only before commit. Don't use rollback after commit. Whatever the transaction that we perform, this transaction will be stored permanently in database by using commit. And if you want to undo any transaction, then you need to use rollback. This is all about transaction control language. At last I will explain data control language. Shortly we call it as DCL. Data control language is used to control the access and permissions to data stored in a database. Guys, by using data control language, we can give various permissions to various users. For example, there are 3 users. For this user, I want to give only read permission. That is, this person can only read data, he cannot insert data. And for this person, I want to give write permission. That means he can read data and as well as he can write data. And for this person, I want to give only read permission. So if you give only read permission to particular users, they can only read data, but they cannot perform any modifications on data. So you can give various permissions to various users by using data control language. In software company, there will be database administrator. He will give various permissions to various users. There are 2 commands in this data control language. They are grant and revoke, where grant command is used to grant permissions and revoke command is used to cancel permissions. This is syntax of grant command. Just write here grant, permission 1, permission 2, so on table name to username, and at last give semicolon. For example, I am database administrator. In my college, there is one faculty with name Sai. This faculty Sai want to insert data in student table. So as a database administrator, I need to give insert and update permissions to this faculty Sai. For that purpose, we need to use grant command. So just write here grant, insert comma update on this Sai want to insert data on student table. So just write here on student to Sai and at last give semicolon. Whenever you write this code and click enter, now this faculty Sai can insert and update data on student table. I given 2 permissions, they are insert and update. I given permissions. Now I want to remove these permissions. So in order to remove permissions, you need to use revoke command. So write here revoke I want to remove insert and update permissions. So just write here insert comma update on student table from Sai. Whenever you write this code and click enter, permissions are removed from Sai. Now this Sai cannot insert and update data on student table. This is all about data control language. Guys, in this DBMS subject, database language topic is very important. In exam you may get separate questions like explain database language, or you may also get questions like explain DDL, DML, DQL, TCL or DCL, or you may also get separate question about each command. So try to prepare this question perfectly. Next I will explain various types of keys that we use in DBMS. I will explain what is primary key, foreign key, super key, candidate key, and also I will explain what is alternate key and composite key. At first I will explain what is key. Database which stores data in the form of tables is known as relational database. This keys plays very important role in relational database. By using keys we can uniquely identify any record from the table. I will give one example. For example, let us consider there is student table. This is student table data. For example, your name is Sai and your friend name is also Sai and you both belongs to section A. Whenever you see this student table, based on roll number we can identify person. Your name is Sai and your friend name is Sai. Each person can contain same name and same section, but each and every person contain different rule numbers. So based on rule number we can identify person. For example, don't consider this rule number column. Now here there is name Sai section A and here also there is name Sai and section A. We can't identify records. So these two records are same. Now if you consider rule number column, here there is name Sai rule number 12 and section A, and here there is name Sai rule number 14 and section A. Now these two records belongs to different person. Guys, records are nothing but rows. One person is Sai rule number 12 and another person is Sai rule number 14. So by using keys we can uniquely identify any record. Here rule number column is considered as key because by using rule number we can uniquely identify person. Because by using rule number column we can uniquely identify any record. So we call this rule number column as key. Key is also used to establish and identify relationship between tables. Guys, by using key we can establish relationship between tables. By establishing primary key and foreign key relationship, I can connect these two tables. We can establish relationship between tables. At first I will explain what is primary key. Guys, by using primary key, we can uniquely identify any record. For example, there is student table. Inside student table there are three columns. One column is name column, next column is roll number column, and next column is section column. For example, I given primary key for this roll number column. Whenever you give primary key for any particular column, then that column must contain only unique values and it will not accept null values. For example, I given data like name Sai, rule number 1 and section A, name Shiva, rule number 2 and section B, name Raju, rule number 3 and section C. Next time I written name Harish, rule number 1 and section D. Thus this record is not accepted because 1 is repeated. Already for Sai there is rule number 1. Again I written Harish and rule number 1. So this record is not accepted because I given primary key for this rule number column. So this column must contain only unique values. It will not accept duplicate values. So here there is 1 and here also there is 1. So this 1 is duplicate value. So this record is not accepted. Already I given rule number 1, rule number 2 and rule number 3. So next time I cannot use these rule numbers. So each and every value must be unique. For example, if I write Harish, rule number 4 and section D, it is accepted because here all are unique values. There is no duplicate value. For example, there is another student Ramesh and section E. I don't want to give rule number for Ramesh. So I will write here null. Null is nothing but empty. But whenever you give primary key for any particular column, then null values are not accepted. Here rule number column is primary key. So null values are not accepted. So it will not insert this record. So whenever you give primary key for any particular column, then that column must contain unique values and null values are not accepted. This is all about primary key. Now I will write code in order to create student table. I want to create table. The table name is student. So write here create table student, open bracket. First column is name. So write here name, which is column name. And here you need to give data type. I want to give name like name Sai, Shiva, Ramesh, so on. So all are characters. So I need to use varchar data type. So write here varchar and give your size. For example, for Sai 1, 2, 3. total there are 3 characters. For Shiva, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, total 5 characters. Here I want to give limit, that is 50. I written here varchar, inside brackets I written 50, this is nothing but size. Each name will support up to 50 characters. Sai 3 characters, Shiva 5 characters, like that each name will support up to 50 characters. So I written here name, which is column name, and data type, that is varchar 50, comma. Next column is rule number. So write here rule number, which is column name. I want to give rule numbers like rule number 1, rule number 2, rule number 3, so on. So all are integer values. So I am giving data type, that is int. Now I want to give primary key for this rule number column. So just after writing rule number and data type, just write here primary key. So write here primary space key, that is nothing but I am giving primary key for this rule number column, comma, and last column is section. So write here section. I want to give section like section A, section B, section C, so on. All are characters. So I am giving data type, that is varchar, where varchar stands for variable character, and give size. I want to give only single character, so I can give size 1, but I will give here size 10. That means each value will support up to 10 characters. I open this bracket. Now I need to close this bracket. So close this bracket and give semicolon. Guys, whenever you write this code and click enter, it will create 3 columns. They are name, rule number, and section, where this rule number column is primary key. Now I will insert data like name Sai, rule number 1 and section A, name Shiva, rule number 2 and section B, name Raju, rule number 3 and section C. Now I will insert this data in student table. I will write code for this. Now I will write code in order to insert this data. Insert into, I want to insert data in student table. So write here table name, that is student. Insert into student values. I want to give values like, first one is name. Name column is varchar data type. So write Sai in quotations, comma. Rule number is integer. So there is no need of quotation, just write here 1, comma. Next column is section. So give here section, that is A. Section is varchar data type. So use quotations. Take name Sai, rule number 1 and section A in bracket, comma. Name Shiva, rule number 2 and section B, comma. Comma, next one is Raju, rule number 3 and section C. At last give semicolon. Guys, whenever you write this code and click enter, it will insert this records in student table. For example, I written here, comma, name Ramesh, rule number 1 and section D, comma. I want to insert another record, that is name Harish. I don't want to give rule number, so just I will write here null. Guys, if you want to give null values, then don't use quotations. Just write here null, comma, section E. Give semicolon at last. Guys, whenever you write this code and click enter, it will display error because here already for Sai I given rule number 1. So again for Ramesh I given rule number 1. So duplicate values are not accepted because I given primary key for rule number column, and also for Harish I given null value. Even null values are not accepted. So don't write these 2 records. This is all about primary key. Next I will explain what is foreign key. Foreign key is the column of the table used to point to primary key of another table. Guys, I will give an example so that you can clearly understand what is foreign key. For example, let us consider there are 2 tables. One table is department table and next table is student table. For example, for department table I took 2 columns. They are name column and DID column. Here for DID column I will take primary key. Primary key is nothing but it will accept unique values and null values are not accepted. Guys, primary key is nothing but primary key will accept only unique values and it will not accept null values. That is why I took unique values in DID column. Now there is another table. The table is student table. In this student table I took 3 columns. They are name column, rule number column and department number column. Now what I will do is, I will connect this department number column with DID column. Now what I will do is, I will select a DID column from department table and department number column from student table. And I will connect these 2 columns by establishing primary key and foreign key relationship. Primary key means it will accept unique values and null values are not accepted. Whereas foreign key means, here foreign key is department number. And this department number column is connected to primary key, that is DID column from department table. So whenever you give foreign key for any particular column, then whatever the values that are present inside primary key, This department number column will accept only these values. Here department number column will accept only these values. Here total there are 4 values. They are 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this department number column, I can enter only these values. Whereas for primary key, null values are not accepted. But whereas for foreign key, null values are accepted. For example, I don't want to give department number for Ganesh. So just I written here null. Primary key must contain only unique values. But whereas in foreign key can contain duplicate values. Here for Sai I took department number 1 and here for Suresh I took department number 1. So duplicate values are accepted. Only condition is that whenever you give foreign key for any particular column with reference to primary key, then this foreign key must contain only values which are present in primary key. Primary key contains only 1, 2, 3, 4. So here also you need to enter only 1, 2, 3, 4 values. For example, for Suresh if I take 5, but 5 is not present in DID column. So it will display error. At first I will create department table with 2 columns, name and DID. So at first I create table and table name, that is department, open bracket. I want to give 2 columns. One column is name and data type, that is varchar 50, comma, next column that is DID. In this DID column I want to enter numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will give data type, that is int, and I want to set primary key for this DID column. So after writing data type, just write here primary space key. I open this bracket, so close this bracket and give semicolon. Whenever you run this code, it will create department table with 2 columns, they are name and DID. Now I want to insert values in this department table. So write here insert into table name, that is department, values, insert bracket, give values. First one is CSC in quotations comma 1 comma next value, that is AIML in quotations comma 2 comma next DS in quotations comma 3 close bracket comma, and next one is ECE in quotations comma 4 in brackets, and at last use semicolon. Guys, take each record in bracket, that's it. Whenever you run this code, it will insert these values. For example, if I take triple E 1, it will not accept because already for CSC I took 1. So again if you take 1, it will display error because DID column is primary key. It will not accept duplicate values. It will accept only unique values. For example, for triple if I take null, I don't want to give value. So if I write here null, so even though it is not accepted because primary key will not accept null values. So just I written this code. Now I want to create another table. That table is student table and I want to insert 3 columns, name, roll number and department number. Normally each and every person contain different roll numbers. So I will give primary key for this roll number column, and for this department number column I will give foreign key, and I will connect this department number column to DID column which is present in department table. I will write code for this. So write here create table and table name, that is student, open bracket, first column is name. So write here name and data type, that is varchar, and I am giving size up to 50, comma, next column is roll number. Roll number, I want to give roll number like 121, 122 so on. So I will take here data type, that is int, and I will set primary key for this roll number column. So after writing int, write here primary space key, that means this roll number column is now primary key, and next another column, that is department number column. So write here department number which is column name and data type. I want to give department number like 1, 2, 3 so on. So write here int, comma, now I need to set this department number column as foreign key. Now I need to connect this department number column to DID column which is present in department table. So write here foreign, FOREIGN space key. I want to give foreign key to department number column. So inside brackets write department number. This column should refer to DID column which is present in department table. So write here references, REFERENCES, references. Guys, write here is, or else it will display error. References, department table DID column. So table name, department, inside brackets write column name, that is DID column. I open this main bracket. Now I need to close this main bracket. So close this bracket and give semicolon. So just I created 3 columns. One column is name column and data type. Next one is rule number column data type, and this rule number column is primary key. And next column is department number column and data type int. Now I am selecting this department number column as foreign key with references to primary key, that is DID column in department table. So I written here foreign space key inside bracket department number column references department table DID column. So department, which is table name, inside bracket DID column, and close this bracket and give semicolon. Whenever you run this code, it will create student table. Now I want to insert values. So write here insert into table name, that is student values. First value is Sai 121 and 1. So write Sai in quotations, comma 121, comma 1, and again comma, take another bracket. These are values that I want to insert. Guys, for example, if I write here Suresh 124 and 5, this code will not be executed because we can take only 1, 2, 3, 4 values. If you don't want to give department number, then just you can write here null. There is no need of using quotation for null. Now I want to check whether values are inserted or not. So just write here select star means complete columns from table name, that is student, and give semicolon. Whenever you run this code, this is my output. This is all about foreign key. Guys, next I will explain what is super key, candidate key, alternate key, and composite key. Guys, we will not write any code for these 4 keys. Just it is theory concept. That's it. So at first I will explain what is super key. It is a set of columns that can uniquely identify a record is known as a super key. Guys, super key is nothing but it is a set of columns that can uniquely identify a record, and it supports null values. I'll give one example so that you can clearly understand what is super key. So a column is said to be a super key if it contains unique values and null values are accepted. For example, this is student table data. If you observe name column, in name column Sai repeated twice and Shiva repeated twice. So it is not unique. There are duplicate values. So this name column is not a super key. For rule number column, each and every value is unique. There are no duplicate values. So rule number column is considered as super key. So I will create one set by taking this rule number column. Similarly, address. Here for address column, Hyderabad repeated twice and Delhi repeated twice. So there are no unique values. There are duplicate values in this column. So address is not a super key. And next consider mobile number. Here for mobile number column, each and every value is unique. And here for super key, null values are accepted. For example, for student Sai, there is no mobile number. So I written here null. So for this mobile number column, all values are unique. But there is one null value. Even though there is one null value, it is considered super key. Only condition is that each and every column must contain unique values and null values are accepted. So I will create one separate set for mobile number column, and last column is Aadhaar number. In this Aadhaar number column, all values are unique. There are no duplicate values. And here for Shiva, there is no Aadhaar number. So I written here null. Even though there is one null value, all values are unique. So Aadhaar number column is considered super key. So I will take this Aadhaar number in one separate set. So write Aadhaar number in a set. In this student table, total there are 3 super key columns. They are rule number column, mobile number column, and Aadhaar number column. So I took 3 columns in 3 sets. And here name column is left and address column is left. Here name column is not a super key. So now what I will do is, I will combine this name column with any other super key column, and then I will form a set. Here I can combine name column with rule number column or mobile number column or Aadhaar number column. So now I will combine this name column with rule number column, and then I will form a set where name column is not a super key but rule number column is a super key, and next address column is left. So you can combine this address column with any other super key columns. Guys, not only single super key, you can also combine this address column with multiple super keys. So here I will take address, comma, mobile number, comma, rule number. Guys, these are various super keys in this particular table. Guys, super key is nothing but it is a set of columns that can uniquely identify a record. These are various set of columns. By using these columns, we can uniquely identify a record. Guys, a column is said to be a super key if it contains unique values and null values are accepted. If there are any non-super key columns, then you need to combine this non-super key column with super key column, where name column is non-super key and roll number column is super key. and I combine this address column with mobile number column and roll number column. Here address column is non-super key and mobile number and roll number columns are super keys. This is all about super key. Next I will explain what is candidate key. Guys, minimal super key is known as candidate key. Guys, minimal super key. Just remember this point. This candidate key is a column or set of columns that can uniquely identify each record. Guys, this candidate key is same like super key. By using candidate key, we can uniquely identify each column. Guys, these are various super keys in this student table. In this minimal super key is known as candidate key. Here for this set there is only one column, that is roll number. And here for this set there is only one column, that is mobile number. And here for this set there is only one column, that is Aadhaar number. And here there are two columns and here there are three columns. So minimal super key is known as candidate key. So here there is only one column and here one column and here one column. So roll number, mobile number and Aadhaar number. These three are considered as candidate keys because they are minimal super keys. Guys, now from these candidate keys I will choose one primary key. Primary key is nothing but that column must contain unique values and null values are not accepted. So if you consider this roll number column, mobile number and Aadhaar number column, here roll number column can be primary key because all values are unique and there are no null values. So I can consider this roll number as primary key. And for mobile number column, there is null value. So it is not considered as primary key. So for Aadhaar number column, there is null value. So this Aadhaar number column is not a primary key. So this roll number column is primary key. Next I will explain what is alternate key. Guys, total there are 3 candidate keys. On that I chosen this roll number column as primary key. From candidate keys, if you consider any candidate key as a primary key, then remaining candidate keys are considered as alternate keys. So mobile number and Aadhaar number both are considered as alternate keys. Next I will explain what is composite key. Primary key consists of more than one columns is known as composite key. For example, in this table roll number column is primary key. Now what I will do is, I will select this roll number column and also I will select some other columns like name column and mobile number column, where this roll number column is primary key. Primary key consists of more than one columns is known as composite key. So here primary key column contains name column and as well as mobile number column. So we call this set as composite key. Next I will explain complete views topic in DBMS. I will explain what is view, what is simple view, what is complex view, and also I will explain how to create view, update view and delete view. At first I will explain what is view. Guys, view is nothing but it is simply a virtual table. For example, let us consider there is college database. Inside college database there is student table. This is student table data. Now what I want to do is, I want to create this student table again with the same data. So again I need to write code in order to create student table and in order to insert this data. So it is time taking process. In order to overcome this problem, we can use view. Just by using select command, you need to select all this data and you need to place the data in view. Guys, view is nothing but it is simply a virtual table. For example, what I want to do is, I want to create the same student table again with the same data. So just by writing single line of code, you can create this table. So write here, create view. Guys, view is nothing but it is simply a virtual table. After writing create view, here you need to give view name. For example, I want to give view name as my view. So write here create view my view, which is view name as. Now by using select command, you need to select data. Whatever the data that is present inside student table, I want to place this complete data in my view. By using select command, you need to select data. So write here select star. I want to select all these 3 columns. So I written here star. So star means all these 3 columns. From table name, I want to select data from student table. So write here student and at last give semicolon. Whenever you write this line of code and click enter, it will create view. That view name is my view. Here in this my view, I selected complete data which is present in student table. So this my view contains complete data which is present in student table. Guys, this my view is also a table. Previously there is only one table, that is student table. But this time there are 2 tables. They are student table and as well as my view table. Whenever you write show tables, it will display complete tables which is present in database. There are 2 tables in database. So whenever I write this code and click enter, it will display 2 tables. They are student table and next one is my view table. I want to see data which is present in my view table. So you need to write code, that is select star from. Guys, in order to see data which is present in table, you need to write select star from table name. And in order to see data which is present in view, you need to write select star from view name. I want to see data which is present in my view table. So just write here select star from my view. This my view contains complete data which is present in student table. So whenever I write here select star from my view, it will display this complete table. This is my output. Guys, select star from student mean it will select complete data from all these three columns. But this time I don't want to select complete data. I want to select only data of the students whose section is A. Here Sai section is A and Raju section is A and Nagendra section is A. So I want to select only these three records and I want to create one separate view. So I will create one separate view by selecting these three records. So write code that is create view and here you need to give view name. Previously I given view name as my view. This time I will give my view name as my view 1. So create view my view 1 as select. Guys, I want to select all these three columns like name Sai, roll number 1 and section A. So write here star. Select star from table name. My table name is student. So write here student and now you need to give condition. You can give condition by using where section equal to A in quotations. Whenever you write this line of code and click enter, it will create view. That view name is my view 1. This my view 1 contains only data of the students whose section is A. Here Sai section is A and Raju section is A and Nagendra section is A. Whenever you write here show tables, it will display three tables as output. They are student, my view and my view 1. I want to see data which is present in my view 1. So you need to write code that is select star from view name that is my view 1 and give semicolon. Whenever you write this code and click enter, this is my output. Star means complete columns. So it will display complete columns of the student whose section is A. Guys, star means complete three columns. But this time I don't want complete three columns. I just want only name column and roll number column as output. I need to skip this section column. So I will create view by selecting only two columns. They are name column and roll number column. So I will write code for this. So write here create view and view name. I want to give view name as my view 2. My view 2 as select star means complete columns. But I don't want to select complete columns. I want to select only name column and roll number column. So write here select name comma roll number from table name. Table name is student. So write here student. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will create view. That view name is my view 2. So whenever you write show tables, it will display completely four tables. They are student table, my view 1 table and my view 2 table. This is my output. Now I want to see data which is present in my view 2. In order to see data, you need to write select star from my view 2. This is my output. It will skip the section column and it will display only name column and roll number column. So this is my output. Views are nothing but they are simply a virtual tables. A view also has rows and columns as they are in a real table in the database. Guys, same like tables, views also contain rows and columns. Based on given condition, view can contain all rows or it can also contain only specific rows. It all depends on condition. Till now we created views. Next I will explain how to update views. For example, if you consider my view 1, this my view 1 contains complete data of the students whose section is A. Now I want to update this my view 1. Previously, my view 1 contained complete data of the student whose section is A. This time I want to update my view 1 by selecting complete data of the students whose section is B. So write here by using replace command we can update view. So write here replace view name is my view 1 as select star from student where section equal to B. Take B in quotations. Whenever you write this line of code and click enter, now this my view 1 contains only section B data. If you observe this table, in this table only Shiva section is B. So it will store Shiva, rule number 2 and section B. Whenever you write select star from my view 1, it will display output that is name Shiva, rule number 2 and section B. This is my output. By using replace command, we can update views. Guys, for example, if you consider student table, in this student table, I change a name Sai to name ABC. Whatever the changes that you made to this main table, automatically these changes are reflected to all these views because we created these three views by using the student table. So if you change any data in student table, automatically these changes are updated in all these views. So now my view 1 and my view 2. So in all these three views, it will update name Sai to name ABC. Guys, deleting view is same like deleting table. In order to delete table, you need to write drop table name. In order to delete view, you need to write drop view name. I created three views. Now I want to delete these three views. So write here drop view my view, drop view, my view 1, drop view, my view 3. This is how we delete views. Guys, if you create view by selecting only single table, then we call it as simple view. In this example, I created view by selecting only single table, that is student table. So if you create view by selecting single table, then we call it as simple view. If you create view by selecting multiple tables, then we call it as complex view. I will give example. For example, let us consider there are two tables. One table is student table and next table is branch table. Now I want to select a name column from the student table and I want to select a B name column from this branch table. By selecting these two columns, I want to create one separate view. I will write code for this. So it first write create view. I want to give view name as mview. So create view mview as select. Guys, in order to create view from multiple tables, definitely there must be one common column. If you observe student table, in student table for SID column there is 1, 2, 3. Similarly in branch table for BID column there is 1, 2, 3. So in order to create view from multiple table, there must be some matching data. I want to select name column from student table. So write here select student, which is table name dot column name. I want to select name column. Student dot name, comma. Next I want to select B name column from branch table. So comma branch, which is table name dot column name. I want to select B name column. So write here branch dot B name. I selected two columns. One is name column from student table, comma B name column from branch table. I selected two columns from two tables. So from student comma branch. And here you need to give condition where student.sid is equal to branch.bid. Student.sid is equal to branch.bid and give semicolon. Here there is match 1, 1. So it will select Sai AML and here there is 2, 2. There is match. So it will select Shiva CSC and there is match 3, 3. It will select Ganesh DS. I created view. That view name is mview. This is mview data. For example, in student table there is Nagendra 5 and Raju 1. I given condition, that is student.sid is equal to branch.bid. If you observe this Nagendra, for Nagendra there is 5. In this column 5 is not present. So it will not select this record. And next Raju 1. Here for Raju there is 1 and here for AML there is 1. So it will select Raju AML. So it will select Raju AML. Here I created view by selecting multiple tables. They are student table and branch table. So we call it as complex view. Complex view is nothing but creating views from multiple tables. This is all about views. Next I will explain aggregate functions topic in DBMS. And also I will explain what is distinct keyword. And also I will explain what is group by class. Aggregate function is used to perform the calculations on multiple rows of a single column of the table. And it returns a single value as output. Guys, I will give an example so that you can clearly understand this definition. Total there are 5 aggregate functions. They are count, sum, average, max and min. At first I will explain what is count function. Count function is used to count number of rows in a database table. Just in order to count number of rows, we need to use count function. I will give an example. For example, this is student table data. Now I want to count number of rows present in this table. So I written here select count. Guys, we will represent function in brackets. So inside brackets I written star. Star is nothing but star means complete columns. It will select data which is present in all these columns. So I written here star from table name. From student table I want to select data. So I written here from student and at last give semicolon. Guys, whenever you write this code and click enter, it will count number of rows present in all columns. So total there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Total there are 6 rows. So whenever I write this code and click enter, it will display output, that is 6. Now I don't want to select complete columns. I want to select only rule number column and I want to count number of rows present in rule number column. So I written here select count. Inside bracket I written only rule number column because I want to count number of rows present in only rule number column. So I written here rule number from table name. Table name is student. So I written here from student and give semicolon. Whenever you write this code and click enter, it will count number of rows present in rule number column. So in rule number column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Total there are 6 rows. So I'll get output, that is 6. For example, in place of writing 1, if I write here null, Null is nothing but empty. So it will not consider null, and total there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So total there are only 5 rows. So it will display output, that is 5. 5 is my output. Next one is sum function. Sum function is used to calculate sum of all columns, and we can apply sum function only to numbers. Only there are two numeric columns in this table. They are rule number column and marks column. So I can apply sum function only to these columns. For example, I will apply sum function to marks column. So just in place of writing count, I written here sum, and I applied sum function to marks column. So I written here select sum of marks from table name, that is student. Whenever I write this code and click enter, it will perform addition on all these rows in this marks column. So 75 plus 80 plus 90 plus 60 plus 50 plus 100, that is 455. So whenever I write this code and click enter, it will display output, that is 455. Guys, aggregate functions will display only single value as output. In this table, we applied aggregate functions to all these rows in this marks column. So aggregate function is used to perform calculations on multiple rows of a single column of the table, and it will display only single value as output. So this is my output, that is 455. Next I will explain what is use of max function, where max function is used to identify maximum number in particular column, and whereas min function is used to identify minimum number in particular column. For example, I want to identify maximum value and minimum value in this particular column. For that purpose, we need to use max function and min function. So I written here select max of marks column from student table. Whenever I write this code and click enter, it will find maximum number in marks column. Here maximum value is 100. So I will get output, that is 100. Whenever I write this code and click enter, it will display output, that is 100. Just in place of writing max function, I written here min function in order to identify minimum value. In this table, minimum value is 50. So it will display output, that is 50. So whenever I write here select a min of marks from student, it will display output, that is 50. And last function is average function, that is AVG. So I written here select AVG of marks column from student table. How to calculate average? 75 plus 80 plus 90 plus 60 plus 50 plus 100 by total there are 6 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So by 6. So 75 is my output. These are various aggregate functions. Guys, next I will explain what is use of distinct keyword. Just in order to avoid duplicate values from particular column or table, you need to use distinct keyword. I'll give one example. For example, I want to see data which is present in section column. So I need to write select column name, that is I want to see data which is present in section column. So I'm writing column name, that is section, from table name. Table name is student. So I will write here student. Whenever I write this code and click enter, it will display complete data which is present in section column. So I will get output, that is section ABC ABC. Here A is repeated twice, B is repeated twice, and C is repeated twice. I don't want duplicate values. I want to remove duplicate values. So for that purpose, we need to use distinct keyword. So just you need to write here select distinct column name, that is section, from table name, from student. I written here distinct, so it will avoid duplicate values. So I will get output, that is section ABC. This is my output. It will avoid duplicate values from the section column. For example, in place of Raju, again I took Sai. Sai is repeated twice. Whenever I write here select a distinct, that is name column from student table, it will display output, that is Sai, Shiva, Ramesh, Suresh and Harish. Here Sai repeated twice, but it will display Sai only once. Next I will explain what is use of group by class. Group by class groups rows with same values from the selected column. For example, in the student table I am selecting section column. In this section column A repeated twice, B repeated twice and C repeated twice. Whenever I apply group by to this particular column, it will group same values and then it will display that values only once. For example, if I apply group by to the section column, it will display output, that is ABC. It will display only once. So just you need to write code, that is select. I want to select section column, so write section from table name, that is student, and just you need to write here group by, group space by section. Normally if you write here select a section from student, it will display output, that is section ABC ABC. But just I written here group space by section. That means it will group same data. A repeated twice, so it will form A as one group, and similarly two B's. So B is one group and there are two C's. So C is one group. Total there are three groups, they are A, B, C. So this is my output. Here in the section column, A is repeated twice and B is repeated twice and C is repeated twice. Now what I want to do is, I want to see sections and as well as number of times that sections are repeated. I should get output like this. So I need to write here select. I want to select section column. So write here section. And I want to count number of times sections are repeated. So write here count. I'm using here count function. So write here count of section from table name, that is student table, group space by section. Whenever I write this code and click enter, it will display output, that is section column and as well as count of section column by grouping the section column. So whenever I write this code and click enter, this is my output. Next I will explain integrity constraints topic in DBMS. Guys, we also call integrity constraints as constraints. Both are same. Guys, constraints are nothing but they are set of rules. Whatever the rules that we apply on database columns, we call those rules as constraints. But why we need to apply these rules? We need to apply these rules because in order to maintain correctness of data, that is nothing but in order to maintain quality of information. If we apply integrity constraints while creating table, then whatever the information that we are going to store in the table, that information will be correct. There will not be any errors. That is why we need to use integrity constraints. Guys, total there are 4 types of integrity constraints. They are domain constraints, entity integrity constraints, referential integrity constraints and key constraints. I will explain all these constraints by giving examples. At first I will explain what are domain constraints. Each table has certain set of columns and each column allows a same type of data based on its data type. The column does not accept the values of any other data type. Guys, for example, let us consider a student table. These are 3 columns. One column is name, next column is roll number and next column is section. For example, I want to enter name like name Sai, name Ramesh, so on. So I will give varchar data type for this name column. For example, I want to enter rule numbers like rule number 1, rule number 2, so on. So I will give integer type to this rule number column. If you give integer type to a particular column, then you can enter only integer values in this column. You cannot enter characters. Similarly, if you give varchar data type to any particular column, then you need to enter only characters. You cannot enter integer values. So each column allows a same type of data based on its data type. The column does not accept values of any other data type. Domain constraints are combination of data type and constraints. These are various domain constraints. They are not null constraint, unique constraint, primary key constraint, foreign key constraint, check constraint and default constraint. Now I will create one table and I will apply all these constraints to various columns. For example, I created student table. These are various columns in student table. First constraint is not null. For example, I applied not null constraint to this name column. Whenever I apply not null constraint to this name column, then this name column will not accept null values. For example, I written name Sai, name Shiva. For example, for third person I don't want to write name, so I written here null. Null is nothing but empty. But it will not accept null values because I given not null constraint to this name column. Next constraint is unique constraint. For example, I applied unique constraint to this rule number column. Whenever I apply unique constraint to this rule number column, then this rule number column will accept only unique values. For example, for Sai I took rule number 1, for Shiva I took rule number 2. Next time for Ramesh again I took rule number 1. But it will not accept because I applied unique constraint. So each and every value must be unique. That is nothing but each and every value must be different. It will not accept duplicate values. So I need to take here 3. Guys, at last I will explain primary key and foreign key example. Next one is check constraint. For example, for this age column I given condition, that is check age is less than 18. This is check condition. For example, for Sai I given age 17. It is accepted. For Shiva I given age 10. It is accepted. But for Ramesh I given age 20. But it is not accepted because for this age column I given check condition, that is age must be less than 18. So if you give age 18 or greater than 18, it is not accepted. So you need to give only age less than 18. So it is not accepted. Guys, for example, let us consider there are 100 students. All the students belongs to section A. So for each and every student, writing section A is difficult. So directly you can apply default constraint. For example, for the section column I given condition, that is default section is A. And you need to take A in quotation because it is varchar data type. So there is no need of giving values separately. Automatically it will take section A. Instead of writing section A for each and every student, directly you can use default constant. So that there is no need of writing section A for each and every student. Automatically by default it will take section A. Now I will write code in order to create student table and in order to apply various constraints to various columns. At first I want to create student table. So I need to write code that is create table and here you need to give table name that is student. I want to create table that is student. So I written here student, open bracket, first column is name. So I written here name. I want to enter name like name, Sai, Ramesh, so on. All are varchar data types. So I am giving data type that is varchar. Each name can support up to 50 characters. So I am giving size that is 50. Name varchar 50. Now I will apply not null constraint to this name column. So after writing data type, just write here not space null. Guys, data type plus constraint, both are considered as domain constraints. Comma, next column is rule number. So I written here rule number. I want to give rule number like rule number 1 to so on. All are integer data types. So I will give data type that is int and I will apply unique constraint to this rule number column. So after writing data type, just write here unique. All are small letters, comma, next column is age. So write here age. I want to give age like age 12, 13, so on. All are integer data types. So I will give data type that is int and I am giving condition that is age must be less than 18. So after writing data type, write here check, open bracket. Now inside brackets you need to give condition that is age must be less than 18. Close this bracket, comma, next column is section. So write here section, which is column name. I want to give section like section A, B, C, so on. All are varchar data types. So write here varchar. Actually section A is only one character, but I will give limit that is 10 characters. That means each value can support up to 10 characters. So section varchar 10 and I am giving condition that is default A. In quotations, write section A. I open this main bracket. Now I will close this main bracket and at last give semicolon. Whenever I write this code and click enter, it will create student table with 4 columns and it will apply various constraints to various columns. Now I want to insert values. So write here insert into table name that is student. I want to insert only name, rule number and age. I don't want to insert section because automatically it will take section A. So just select only name column, rule number column and age column. So insert bracket, select name column, comma rule number column, comma age column. Values, I want to give values like name Sai. For name column I given varchar data type. So take Sai in quotations, comma rule number. For example, I will give rule number 1 and I will give age that is 17. Guys, just remember that age must be less than 18. So I took here 17. Close this bracket. Next I want to insert another record like name Shiva, rule number 2 and age 16 and give semicolon. Guys, whenever you write this code and click enter, it will insert name Sai, rule number 1, age 17. Automatically it will take section A. And again Shiva, rule number 2, age 16 and section A. Guys, for example, if you don't give any value, then it will take default value. But if you give value, then it will take that value. For example, I want to insert data like name Raju, rule number 3, age 10 and section B. So write here insert into student, values, Raju in quotations, comma, 3, 10, section B in quotations. I took here section B. So it will insert section B. If you don't take value, it will select default value. But if you take any value, it will insert that value. This is all about domain constraints. Guys, I will explain this primary key and foreign key example separately. Next, I will explain what are key constraints. Total, there are 3 primary types of key constraints. They are unique key, primary key and foreign key. Guys, I already explained what is unique key. Guys, if you give unique key for any particular column, then that column will accept only unique values. If you give duplicate values, they are not accepted. Guys, at last I will explain primary key and foreign key example. Next, I will explain what are entity integrity constraints. This entity integrity constraint states that primary key value can't be null. Whenever you give primary key for any particular column, that column will accept only unique values and null values are not accepted. So just remember that entity integrity constraint states that primary key values can't be null. Guys, here you need to give primary key example. At last I will explain primary key example. And last one is referential integrity constraints. A referential integrity constant is specified between two tables. Guys, for example, let us consider there are two tables. For one table I given primary key and for one table I given foreign key. This foreign key is connected to this primary key. That is nothing but this foreign key is referring to this primary key. That is why we call it as referential integrity constant. Referential is nothing but foreign key is referring to primary key. Here also you need to give primary key and foreign key example. Guys, here for domain constants, referential integrity constants and key constants, you need to give primary key and foreign key example. And whereas for entity integrity constant, you need to give primary key example. So at first I will explain what is primary key. Guys, by using primary key, we can uniquely identify any record. For example, there is student table. Inside student table, there are three columns. One column is name column, next column is roll number column, and next column is section column. For example, I given primary key for this roll number column. Whenever you give primary key for any particular column, then that column must contain only unique values and it will not accept null values. For example, I given data like name Sai, rule number 1 and section A, name Shiva, rule number 2 and section B, name Raju, rule number 3 and section C. Next time I written name Harish, rule number 1 and section D. Thus this record is not accepted because 1 is repeated. Already for Sai there is rule number 1. Again I written Harish and rule number 1. So this record is not accepted because I given primary key for this rule number column. So this column must contain only unique values. It will not accept duplicate values. So here there is 1 and here also there is 1. So this 1 is duplicate value. So this record is not accepted. Already I given rule number 1, rule number 2 and rule number 3. So next time I cannot use these rule numbers. So each and every value must be unique. For example, if I write Harish, rule number 4 and section D, it is accepted because here all are unique values. There is no duplicate value. For example, there is another student Ramesh and section E. I don't want to give rule number for Ramesh. So I will write here null. Null is nothing but empty. But whenever you give primary key for any particular column, then null values are not accepted. Here rule number column is primary key. So null values are not accepted. So it will not insert this record. So whenever you give primary key for any particular column, then that column must contain unique values and null values are not accepted. This is all about primary key. Now I will write code in order to create student table. I want to create table. The table name is student. So write here create table student, open bracket. First column is name. So write here name, which is column name. And here you need to give data type. I want to give name like name Sai, Shiva, Ramesh, so on. So all are characters. So I need to use varchar data type. So write here varchar and give your size. For example, for Sai 1, 2, 3. Total there are 3 characters. For Shiva 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Total 5 characters. Here I want to give limit, that is 50. I written here varchar. Inside brackets I written 50. This is nothing but size. Each name will support up to 50 characters. Sai 3 characters, Shiva 5 characters. Like that each name will support up to 50 characters. So I written here name, which is column name and data type, that is varchar 50, comma. Next column is rule number. So write here rule number, which is column name. I want to give rule numbers like rule number 1, rule number 2, rule number 3, so on. So all are integer values. So I am giving data type, that is int. Now I want to give primary key for this rule number column. So just after writing rule number and data type, just write here primary key. So write here primary space key, that is nothing but I am giving primary key for this rule number column, comma, and last column is section. So write here section. I want to give section like section A, section B, section C, so on. All are characters. So I am giving data type, that is varchar, where varchar stands for variable character, and give size. I want to give only single character, so I can give size 1. But I will give here size 10. That means each value will support up to 10 characters. I open this bracket. Now I need to close this bracket. So close this bracket and give semicolon. Guys, whenever you write this code and click enter, it will create 3 columns. They are name, rule number and section, where this rule number column is primary key. Now I will insert data like name Sai, rule number 1 and section A, name Shiva, rule number 2 and section B, name Raju, rule number 3 and section C. Now I will insert this data in student table. I will write code for this. Now I will write code in order to insert this data. Insert into, I want to insert data in student table. So write here table name, that is student. insert into student values. I want to give values like, first one is name. Name column is varchar data type. So write Sai in quotations, comma. Rule number is integer. So there is no need of quotation, just write here 1, comma. Next column is section. So give here section, that is A. Section is varchar data type. So use quotations. Take name Sai rule number 1 and section A in bracket, comma. Name Shiva rule number 2 and section B, comma. Comma. Next one is Raju rule number 3 and section C. At last give semicolon. Guys, whenever you write this code and click enter, it will insert this records in student table. For example, I written here, comma, name Ramesh, rule number 1 and section D, comma. I want to insert another record, that is name Harish. I don't want to give rule number, so just I will write here null. Guys, if you want to give null values, then don't use quotations. Just write here null, comma, section E. Give semicolon at last. Guys, whenever you write this code and click enter, it will display error because here already for Sai I given rule number 1. So again for Ramesh I given rule number 1. So duplicate values are not accepted because I given primary key for rule number column, and also for Harish I given null value. Even null values are not accepted. So don't write these two records. Next I will explain what is foreign key. Foreign key is the column of the table used to point to primary key of another table. Guys, I will give an example so that you can clearly understand what is foreign key. For example, let us consider there are two tables. One table is department table and next table is student table. For example, for department table I took two columns. They are name column and DID column. Here for DID column I will take primary key. Primary key is nothing but it will accept unique values and null values are not accepted. Guys, primary key is nothing but primary key will accept only unique values and it will not accept null values. That is why I took unique values in DID column. Now there is another table. The table is student table. In this student table I took three columns. They are name column, rule number column and department number column. Now what I will do is, I will connect this department number column with DID column. Now what I will do is, I will select a DID column from department table and department number column from student table. And I will connect these two columns by establishing primary key and foreign key relationship. Primary key mean it will accept unique values and null values are not accepted. Whereas foreign key mean, here foreign key is department number and this department number column is connected to primary key, that is DID column from department table. So whenever you give foreign key for any particular column, then whatever the values that are present inside primary key, this department number column will accept only these values. Here department number column will accept only these values. Here total there are 4 values. They are 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this department number column, I can enter only these values. Whereas for primary key, null values are not accepted. But whereas for foreign key, null values are accepted. For example, I don't want to give department number for Ganesh. So just I written here null. Primary key must contain only unique values. But whereas in foreign key can contain duplicate values. Here for Sai I took department number 1 and here for Suresh I took department number 1. So duplicate values are accepted. Only condition is that whenever you give foreign key for any particular column with reference to primary key, then this foreign key must contain only values which are present in primary key. Primary key contains only 1, 2, 3, 4. So here also you need to enter only 1, 2, 3, 4 values. For example, for Suresh if I take 5, but 5 is not present in DID column. So it will display error. At first I will create department table with two columns, name and DID. So at first write create table and table name, that is department, open bracket. I want to give two columns. One column is name and data type, that is varchar 50, comma, next column, that is DID. In this DID column I want to enter numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will give data type, that is int, and I want to set primary key for this DID column. So after writing data type, just write here primary space key. I open this bracket, so close this bracket and give semicolon. Whenever you run this code, it will create department table with two columns. They are name and DID. Now I want to insert values in this department table. So write here insert into table name, that is department values, insert bracket, give values. First one is CSC in quotations comma 1 comma next value, that is AIML in quotations comma 2 comma next DS in quotations comma 3 close bracket comma, and next one is ECE in quotations comma 4 in brackets, and at last use semicolon. Guys, take each record in bracket, that's it. Whenever you run this code, it will insert these values. For example, if I take triple E 1, it will not accept because already for CSC I took 1. So again if you take 1, it will display error because DID column is primary key. It will not accept duplicate values. It will accept only unique values. For example, for triple if I take null, I don't want to give value. So if I write here null, so even though it is not accepted because primary key will not accept null values. So just I written this code. Now I want to create another table. That table is student table, and I want to insert 3 columns: name, roll number and department number. Normally each and every person contain different roll numbers. So I'll give primary key for this roll number column, and for this department number column I'll give foreign key, and I will connect this department number column to DID column which is present in department table. I'll write code for this. So write here create table and table name, that is student, open bracket, first column is name. So write here name and data type, that is varchar, and I'm giving size up to 50, comma, next column is rule number. Rule number, I want to give rule number like 121, 122, so on. So I'll take here data type, that is int, and I will set primary key for this rule number column. So after writing int, write here primary space key. That means this rule number column is now primary key. And next another column, that is department number column. So write here department number which is column name and data type. I want to give department number like 1, 2, 3, so on. So write here int, comma. Now I need to set this department number column as foreign key. Now I need to connect this department number column to DID column which is present in department table. So write here foreign, FOREIGN space key. I want to give foreign key to department number column. So inside brackets write department number. This column should refer to DID column which is present in department table. So write here references, REFERENCES, references. Guys, write here is, or else it will display error. References, department table DID column. So table name, department, inside brackets write column name, that is DID column. I open this main bracket. Now I need to close this main bracket. So close this bracket and give semicolon. So just I created 3 columns. One column is name column and data type. Next one is rule number column, data type, and this rule number column is primary key. And next column is department number column and data type int. Now I am selecting this department number column as foreign key with references to primary key, that is DID column in department table. So I written here foreign space key, inside bracket department number column, references, department table DID column. So department which is table name, inside bracket DID column, and close this bracket and give semicolon. Whenever you run this code, it will create student table. Now I want to insert values. So write here insert into table name, that is student, values. First value is Sai 121 and 1. So write Sai in quotations, comma 121, comma 1, and again comma, take another bracket. These are values that I want to insert. Guys, for example, if I write here Suresh 124 and 5, this code will not be executed because we can take only 1, 2, 3, 4 values. If you don't want to give department number, then just you can write here null. There is no need of using quotation for null. Now I want to check whether values are inserted or not. So just write here select star means complete columns from table name, that is student, and give semicolon. Whenever you run this code, this is my output. This is all about foreign key. Next I will explain logical database design topic in DBMS. In this logical database design topic, I will explain how to convert entity sets to tables, weak entity sets to tables, and also I will explain how to convert relationship sets to tables. The process of converting ER diagrams into tables is known as logical database design. Guys, in each and every software company, there will be database designer. The main duty of database designer is to draw ER diagrams. After drawing ER diagrams, this database designer will submit these ER diagrams to database developers. By seeing this ER diagram, these database developers will create tables. At first, I will explain how to convert entity sets to tables. For example, this is simple ER diagram. In ER diagram, entity is nothing but table name, and we will represent entity in rectangle. So inside rectangle, I written student. So we consider this student as table name. So the student is an entity, and whereas name, rule number and section, we call them as attributes, and we will represent attributes in ellipse. These attributes are nothing but column names. If you observe this rule number attribute, for this rule number attribute I took underline symbol. So whenever you take underline symbol for any particular attribute, then we consider this attribute as primary key attribute. So this rule number attribute is primary key attribute. Guys, for example, if this student entity contains only one record like name Sai, rule number 21 and section A. If this entity contains only one record, then we call it as entity. But if this entity contains more than one record, then we call it as entity set. For example, there are two records like name Sai, rule number 21 section A, name Shiva, rule number 22 and section B. Now we call this student as entity set. Now this student is not entity. This student is entity set because it contains more than one record. So this student is an entity set. Now we need to convert this entity set into table. Whenever database designer designs this diagram, now this diagram is given to database developer. Then by seeing this diagram, database developer will create table with 3 columns and he will give primary key for this rule number column. This is code. At first you need to create student table. So write here create table and table name, that is student, open bracket, and we need to insert 3 columns. They are name, rule number and section. So at first I written name. For example, I want to give name like Sai, Shiva, so on. All are character data types. So I took here data type, that is varchar. For example, if you consider Sai, total there are 1, 2, 3 characters. Like that I given size 50. So each name can support up to 50 characters. Next one is rule number column. So I written here rule number. I want to give rule number like 1, 2, 3, so on. So I took data type, that is int, and we need to give primary key for this rule number column. So after writing data type, just I written here primary space key, comma, next column is section. I want to enter section like section A, section B, so on. So I am taking data type, that is varchar, and I am giving limit, that is size 10. I open this student bracket. Now I need to close this student bracket. So after closing this student bracket, just give semicolon. Whenever you run this code, it will create this table. For example, this is another ER diagram. In this ER diagram, from this name attribute, I am deriving another 2 attributes like first name attribute and last name attribute. Now from this name attribute, I am deriving another 2 attributes. So we call this name attribute as composite attribute. And whereas first name attribute and last name attribute are simple attributes. Now we need to convert this ER diagram into table. If you want to convert this ER diagram into table, don't consider this composite attribute. Directly in the student table, we need to create 4 columns. They are first name, last name, rule number and section. Don't consider this composite attribute. Guys, in exam you may get separate question like how to convert entity set with composite attributes into tables. Next I will explain how to convert weak entity sets to tables. Guys, we will represent strong entity set in single rectangle, and whereas we will represent weak entity set in double rectangle. Guys, for example, in college, each department is located in one building like CS in one building, AML in one building, data science in one building and so on. So only if there are buildings, there will be department. For example, I destroyed building, then automatically this department also will be destroyed. That is why we call this department as weak entity. And I am connecting these 2 entity sets by establishing is located in relationship. Guys, if we establish relationship between strong entity set and weak entity set, then that relation also will be weak. That is why I represented this relationship in double rhombus, where this is weak relationship. Entity set which do not contain any primary key attribute is known as weak entity set. Guys, here for department ID attribute, I took dotted lines. So it is not primary key, it is foreign key. And whereas for this buildings entity set, for B number attribute, I took underline symbol. So we call this B number as primary key. Entity set which contains primary key attribute is known as strong entity. So this buildings is strong entity. Now we need to convert this ER diagram into table. So at first you need to create primary key table. After that you need to create foreign key table. So at first I created primary key table, and next we need to create foreign key table, that is department and attributes. Attributes are nothing but column names. department ID column and department name column. Guys, here foreign key depends on primary key. So I'm connecting department ID column to B number column. At first we need to create primary key table. This is code in order to create this table. So right here create table and table name, that is buildings, open bracket. First column is B number column. So right here B number. I want to enter numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. So I'm giving data type, that is int. And we need to give primary key for this B number column. So after writing data type, just write here primary space key. That means we are giving primary key for this B number column, comma, next column is address. So write here address, and I want to enter address like Hyderabad, Delhi, so on. So I am giving data type, that is varchar 50. Each address can store up to 50 characters. I open this main bracket. Now we need to close this main bracket and give semicolon. Whenever you run this code, it will create this table. Next we need to create foreign key table. So write here create table and table name, that is department, open bracket. First column is department ID. I want to enter ID like 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. So write here department ID space data type, that is int, comma, next column is department name. So write here DEPT name space data type. I want to enter department names like CS, CA, ML, DS, so on. So I am giving data type, that is varchar, inside brackets are written 50, that is nothing but size, comma. Now we need to give foreign key for this department ID. So write here foreign space key, inside brackets we need to write column name. I want to give foreign key for department ID column. So I written here department ID. As we know, foreign key column depends on primary key column. So this foreign key column, that is department ID column, depends on B number column. So write here references space table name, that is buildings, inside bracket write column name, that is B number. I open this main bracket. Now you need to close this main bracket and at last give semicolon. Whenever you run this code, it will create this table. Till now I explained how to convert strong entity set into table and weak entity set into table. Next I will explain how to convert relationship set into table. Guys, for example, let us consider there are two entity sets. They are employee entity set and department entity set. As we know, employee works in department. So I will connect these two entities by establishing working relationship. Now we need to create table for this relationship set. Already there is one attribute in this relationship set, that is since. The since is nothing but column name. Normally this relationship set contains primary keys of these both tables. Here for employee table primary key is employee ID and in this department table primary key is DID. So this works in table contains both primary keys. So in this works in table you need to create two columns. They are employee ID and as well as DID. And next column is since. So these are three columns in works in table. Guys, just remember that I took this employee ID from employee table employee ID column. So this employee ID acts as foreign key. This foreign key is connected to employee table employee ID column, which is primary key. And similarly, I took this DID column from department table DID column. So this department ID column acts as foreign key and this foreign key is connected to department table DID column, which is primary key. Now I will write code in order to create this relationship set table. So write here code create table and table name, that is works in open bracket. First column is employee ID. So write here employee ID. I want to give employee ID like 1, 2, 3, so on. So I will give data type, that is int, comma, next column is DID. Again I want to enter numbers. So I will give data type, that is int, and next one is since. Employee is working since 2000, 2001, so on. So again I want to enter here numbers. So again I will give data type, that is int, comma. Now we need to give foreign key for this employee ID column and this foreign key is connected to primary key, which is located in employee table EID column. So I'll write code for this. Foreign space key, foreign key is employee ID. So inside brackets write EMPID. References, this foreign key is referring to employee table EMPID column. So references employee table EMPID in brackets, which is column name, comma. Next we need to give foreign key for DID column. So again foreign key, column name, that is DID. References, this foreign key column, that is DID, is connected to department table DID column. So write here references department table DID column. I open this main bracket. Now close this main bracket and give semicolon. Whenever I run this entire code, it will create this works in table. Now in this table, employee ID and DID column are foreign keys. This is how we convert relationship set into table. Next I will explain complete relational algebra topic in DBMS. I will explain all these relational operators with an examples. At first I will explain what is relational algebra. Relational algebra is a fundamental concept in database management system that helps us to manipulate and retrieve data from relational databases. It consists of set of operations that can be applied to relations. Guys, I will give an example so that you can clearly understand what is use of relational algebra. For example, there is student table. Student table contains name Sai, roll number 21 and Shiva 22, Ramesh 23 and Suresh 24. Now I want to get complete record of student whose roll number is 21. So for that purpose we need to write SQL query like select star from student where roll number equal to 21. Whenever I write this query, I will get output name Sai, roll number 21 because it will display record of student whose roll number is 21. Here Sai roll number is 21. So I will get this entire record as output. But before writing actual SQL query, at first we need to write mathematical operation in paper. Here I written sigma of roll number equal to 21 and table name is student. So whenever I write this mathematical operation, I will get output name Sai, roll number 21. Before writing actual SQL query, at first we need to write mathematical operation in paper so that writing SQL query becomes easy. Here I am using sigma operator and I given condition roll number equal to 21 and I given table name student so that same output will be displayed. Before performing actual operation in database, if you write this mathematical query, then it will be very easy to perform actual operation. That is why Edgar F. introduced this relational algebra. Guys, relational algebra is completely theory concept. We will not write this mathematical operation in MySQL software. Just we will write this mathematical operation in paper. That's it. So just remember that relational algebra is completely theory concept. Relational algebra is a fundamental concept in database management system that helps us to manipulate and retrieve data from relational databases. Guys, relational databases are nothing but databases which are stored in the form of tables is known as relational databases. By using this relational algebra, we can manipulate and retrieve data from tables. It consists of set of operations that can be applied to relations. We can perform various operations on tables. Edgar F. He is the person who developed a relational model. He is the person who developed relational algebra too. We call this relational algebra as formal or procedural query language. We need to follow step-by-step process in order to get result. Relational algebra mainly provides a theoretical foundation for relational databases. I already said before, this relational algebra is nothing but it's just a theory concept that will be applied on relational databases. It is purely mathematics. There is no English keywords in relational algebra. It provides set of mathematical operations. By using that mathematical operations, we can manipulate and retrieve data from tables. Guys, these are various types of relational operations in relational algebra. At first I will explain what is unary relational operations. The name itself says unary relational operations. That means unary mean only one. Operations which are performed on single table is known as unary relational operations. And that first one is select operation. In selection operation we need to use sigma operator. So for selection we need to use sigma operator. I will explain what is selection operation. This selection operation is used to filter rows from a table based on certain condition. It is similar to applying where clause in SQL queries. This is syntax. Sigma, here you need to give condition and here you need to write relation. Relation is nothing but table name. I'll give an example. For example, there is student table. Student table contains name Sai, Shiva, Nagendra, Sai and similarly roll number 21, 22, 23, 21, age 18, 19, 17, 18. Total there are 4 records 1, 2, 3, 4. For example, I want to get entire record of student whose roll number is 22. So for that purpose we will write SQL query like select star from student where roll number equal to 22. Star is nothing but it will display entire record of student whose roll number is 22. So selection operation is same like using where clause in SQL. For example, I want to get entire record of student whose roll number is 22. I should get output like Shiva 22, 19. It should display entire record. So just write here sigma and here write roll number equal to 22. This is condition. So at first write sigma and below sigma you need to write condition, that is roll number equal to 22. My table name is student. So I am writing student in bracket. Whenever I run this mathematical operation, this is my output. I will get output name Shiva, roll number 22 and age 19. Guys, just remember that selection operation will display entire record. For example, I want to get only name, but selection operation will not display only particular name. It will display entire record. I'll give one more example. As I already said before, for selection operations we need to use sigma. So just I written here sigma. Under sigma I written name equal to Sai and this is and name equal to Sai and age equal to 18. This is my condition and table name is student. Whenever I run this mathematical operation, at first it will check whether name Sai and age 18 is present in table. Yes, name Sai and age 18 is present at first, and similarly again it will check name Sai and age 18 not satisfied, name Sai age 18 not satisfied, and again here name Sai and age 18. Total there are 2 records with name Sai and age 18. Here name Sai, rule number 21 and age 18 repeated twice. So I will get output name Sai, rule number 21 and age 18 twice. That means the selection operation will allow duplicate values. For example, name Sai, rule number 21 and section 18 repeated 10 times in this table. So even though name Sai, rule number 21 and age 18 repeated 10 times, it will display output 10 times. That means the selection operation will support duplicate values. This is all about selection operation. Next one is projection operation. Whereas for selection operations we need to use sigma symbol, and whereas for projection operation we need to use pi symbol. This is pi symbol. I will explain definition of projection operation. The projection operation is used to select specific columns from a table while discarding the other columns. I already said before, selection operation can't display single column. It will display complete columns. If you want only single column as output, then you need to use projection operation. This is syntax. Just you need to write here pi. I already said before, for projection we need to use pi symbol. So at first you need to write pi. Here you need to give column names. How many columns that you want, that many column names you need to write here below this pi. After that you need to write here table name. Guys, relation and table both are same. For example, there is student table. Student table contains 3 columns, name, rule number and age. But I don't want this rule number column. I want to display only name column and age column. So I will write mathematical operation for this. For projection you need to use pi symbol. So just write here pi. Below pi you need to write which columns you want. I want only name column and age column. So just I will write here name comma age columns. And my table name is student. So I am writing here student. Whenever I run this mathematical operation, it will display only name column and age column as output. So I will get output name Sai age 18, Shiva 19 and Nagendra 17. Guys, actually here name Sai, rule number 21 and age 18 repeated twice here and here. Even though if any particular record repeated twice, it will display only once. So it will display name Sai, rule number 21 and age 18 only once. So projection operation will not allow duplicate values. If any particular record is repeated multiple times, it will display that record only once. This is projection operation. For example, there is question like select the name of the student whose age is 19. It should display only name of the student whose age is 19. So just write here sigma and I am giving condition age equal to 19 and table name is student. This selection operation will display entire record. So I will get output. Here Shiva age is 19. So I will get output name Shiva and rule number 22 and age 19. But here question is I don't want complete record. I just want name of the student whose age is 19. So just write here pi and I want only name column. So just write here name. That's it. So whenever I write here pi name, it will display only name Shiva. So my output is name Shiva. This is my output. This is use of projection operation. Next I will explain what is use of rename operation. The name itself says rename. If you want to rename columns or if you want to rename tables, then you need to use rename operation. This is syntax. Whereas for selection we need to use sigma symbol, and whereas for projection we need to use pi symbol, and whereas for rename we need to use row symbol. This is known as row symbol. This is syntax. Just write here row. Below row you need to write new table name and here you need to give old table name. For example, there is student table. I want to change name from student to students. So just below this row write students. This is example. For example, there is student table. In student table there is my name column. Now I want to change this my name column to name column. I want to change column name from my name to name. So just you need to write here new column name and you need to give here old column name. Old column name is my name. By using rename operation you can rename table names and as well as column names. These are 3 unary relational operators. Next I will explain what is Cartesian product. The name itself says Cartesian product. Product meaning into. In DBMS, Cartesian product is an operation used in relational algebra to combine all possible pairs of rows from 2 tables. We also call Cartesian product as cross product and we need to denote this Cartesian product with X symbol. This is syntax relation 1 into relation 2. Guys, relation is nothing but table. Table and relation both are same. So table 1 into table 2. For example, there are 2 tables. One is student table and next one is project table. Guys, student table contains two records. Its name Sai rule number 1 and Nagendra rule number 2. Total there are two records. And similarly, project table contains four records. Its name Raju, project ID 121. Similarly, Ramesh 122, Suresh 123 and Sai 124. Here total there are two records and here total there are four records. So 2 into 4, that is 8 records. Total this Cartesian product will produce 8 records as output. So at first what we need to do is, at first we need to combine first record with all these records and next we need to combine second record with all these records. I will draw tables so that you can clearly understand. At first we need to select first record and we need to combine this first record with all these records. So just write here S name, rule number. We are combining two tables. So just write here S name, rule number and here S name and project ID. Here first record is Sai and 1. We need to combine this with Raju and 121. Similarly again select first record, that is Sai 1 and combine this with second record Ramesh and 122. And similarly again select this first record Sai 1 and combine this with third record Suresh 123 and again select this Sai 1 and combine this with fourth record, that is Sai and 124. Now again select second record from first table, that is Nagendra and 2 and combine this with first record from second table, that is Raju 121. Raju 121 and again select Nagendra 2, second record Ramesh 122, again select Nagendra 2, third record Suresh and 123. Again select Nagendra 2, combine this record with fourth record, that is Sai 124. Here first table contains two records 1, 2 and similarly second table contains four records 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 into 4 equal to 8. So new table should contain total 8 records. We'll check whether there are 8 records or not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Total there are 8 records. This is known as Cartesian product. Here from first table we need to select each record and we need to combine that record with all these records in second table. So again select second record and combine the second record with all these records in second table. Guys, here two columns S name and S name both are common. It is not mandatory to have same columns. For example, here student table contains name column and project table contains S name column. So even though if there are no similar columns, we can perform Cartesian product. So just this is my output. This is known as Cartesian product. Next I will explain set operations. Total there are three set operations. They are union, intersection and set difference. I will explain each of them by giving example. Cartesian product, set operations and joins are performed on multiple tables. So we can also call Cartesian product, set operations and joins as binary relational operations. This is definition of set operations. In relational algebra, set operations are used to manipulate and combine set of rows from a table. Set operations are classified into three types. They are union, intersection and set difference. I will explain each of them. At first I will explain what is union operation. The union operation combines rows from two tables and forms a single table. It retrieves all different rows from both tables and removes any duplicate rows. This is syntax. Just write here table 1, union table 2. Just you need to write here U symbol for union. I will explain this math problem. I will explain one simple mathematical problem so that you can clearly understand what is use of union. For example, let us consider A contains 1 to 3 and similarly B contains 3, 4, 5. So union will combine all different values. So whenever I perform A union B, I will get output 1, 2 and 3. So 3 is already present. So just it will repeat 3 only once and 4, 5. This is my output. So whenever I write here A union B, I will get output 1, 2, 3 is common. In set A there is 3 and in set B there is 3. So 3 will be repeated only once. So it will select 3 only once and 4, 5. This is my output. Whenever I perform A union B, I will get output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For example, there is student table and project table. Student table contains name Sai roll number 12, Ramesh 13 and Suresh 14. And similarly, project table contains name Sai roll number 12, Shiva 30, Nagendra 40. For example, I want to perform student union project. So just write here student union project. So whenever I perform student union project, that means it will combine these two tables and it will produce output. So I will get output. At first it will select first table, that is Sai 12, Ramesh 13 and Suresh 14. And similarly, second table contains Sai 12, Shiva 30 and Nagendra 40. But here Sai 12 repeated twice. So even though if any record repeated twice, it will display only once. Here union will not allow duplicate values. So even though if any particular record repeated twice, it will display only once. So already Sai 12 is present. So it will not enter this Sai 12. Just it will select Shiva 30 and Nagendra 40. This is my output whenever I perform union operation. Next I will explain intersection operation. The intersection operation retrieves only the common rows between two tables. Guys, whereas union will select all rows and whereas intersection will select only common rows. For example, if you consider the student table, in the student table, Sai 12 is common in both tables. That is, student table contains Sai 12 and as well as project table contains Sai 12. So whenever I perform student intersection project, I will get output name Sai roll number 12. So just I written here student intersection project. So this record Sai 12 is common in both tables, so I will get output Sai roll number 12. Guys, this is syntax for intersection. Just you need to write table 1 intersection table 2, or you can also write relation 1 intersection relation 2, both are same. This is simple mathematical example. Just I written here a equal to 1 2 3 and b equal to 3 4 5. In a and b 3 is common. So whenever I perform a intersection b, I will get output 3. Next I will explain what is set difference. Set difference will retrieve the rows from one table that are not present in another table. I will give one simple mathematical example so that you can clearly understand what is this set difference. For example, a contains 1 2 3 and b contains 3 4 5. We need to represent set difference with minus symbol. So just I written here a minus b. A minus b equal to, here 3 is common in both a and b. So it returns the rows that exist in first table but that are not found in second table. Here 3 is present in both a and b. So just it will display output a contains only 1 2. So I will get output 1 2. Similarly, we will perform set difference on two tables. Here name Sai and roll number 12 is common in two tables. So it will not select this name Sai and roll number 12. So it will select record from only first table. So it will display output Ramesh 13 and Suresh 14. So whenever I perform student minus project, I will get output except similar record. It will display remaining records from first table. So remaining records are Ramesh 13 and Suresh 14. This is my output. For example, here I written student minus project. But whenever I write here project minus student, here Sai and roll number 12 is common in both tables. So it will display only Shiva 30, Nagendra 40. This is my output whenever I perform project minus student. Next I will explain joins. Guys, this is a symbol that we use for joins. Joins are classified into two types. They are inner joins and outer joins. Inner joins contains natural join, theta join and equi join. And whereas outer joins contain left outer join, right outer join and full outer join. I will explain each of them by giving examples. At first I will explain definition of joins. In relational database management system, join operations are used in relational algebra to combine rows from multiple tables based on common attributes or condition. If there are common attributes, then we need to combine those two tables. I will give one example so that you can clearly understand what are joins. For example, there are two tables. One table is student table and one is department table. Student table contains S name Sai and department 1 and similarly Shiva 3. And similarly department table contains department name AML and DAD 1 and similarly CSC 5. If you see the student table, in department column there is 1 and similarly in department table, in DAD column there is 1. So 1 is present in both tables. So just I am writing here student, this is join symbol, student join department and here I am giving condition, that is department number equal to DAD. Here in department number there is 1 and here in DAD there is 1. So 1 equal to 1. So it will combine these two records. So I will get output Sai 1 AML 1 and again here these both values are not equal. So it will display only Sai 1 AML 1. This is my output. In joins we will combine two rows based on common attribute. Guys, rows and records both are same. This Sai 1 is considered as one record or you can also call it as row. Join operations allows you to retrieve related information from different tables by matching values in specific columns. Joins are classified into two types. They are inner joins and outer joins. At first I will explain what are inner joins. An inner joins returns only the rows that have matching values in specific columns of both tables. At first I will explain what is theta join. This is syntax. Relation 1 theta, relation 2. Guys, relation and table both are same. You can also write here table 1 theta, table 2. Theta contains equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than, less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. Guys, this is syntax for theta join. Here you need to write relation 1 join relation 2. Below this you need to write column m equal to column n. Not only equal to, here you can use less than, greater than, less than or equal to or greater than equal to. Here you can give any condition. I will give one example so that you can clearly understand what is theta join. Guys, before performing any inner join operation, at first you need to convert these tables into Cartesian product. Cartesian product is nothing but, for example, in this table there are 2 records and similarly in this table there are 2 records. So whenever you perform Cartesian product, first table contains 2 records and second table contains 2 records. So 2 into 2, total you will get 4 records as output. So for Cartesian product, you will get 4 records as output. At first you need to select first record from first table and you need to combine this first record with 2 records. So at first I am writing Sai1 AML5. So Sai1 AML5 and next Sai1 CSE1. So just I written Sai1 CSE1. So you need to combine this first record with all records in department table. And similarly again you need to combine second record with all these records in second table. So again I am writing Shiva2 AML5, Shiva2 CSE1. So this is my output. Total there will be 4 records, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is my output for Cartesian product. Now we need to perform theta operation. Theta contains equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. This is example. Just I am writing a student join department. Below this join I am writing department number equal to DID. Guys, we will perform this operation on this Cartesian product, not on these tables. If there is matching in department number and DID, then it should display that record as output. So we need to check here. Department number, this is department number column and this is DID column. No, there is no matching. Yes, here there is matching. And again 2, 5, there is no match, and 2, 1, there is no match. So whenever I write this mathematical operation, this is my output. Sai department 1, CSE and DID 1. This is my output. Similarly, next I will perform less than operation. So just I written here student join department. This is join symbol. Here I am giving theta condition, that is department number less than DID. So if there is department number less than DID, I should get that complete record as output. So here it will check. This is department number and DID. So department number must be less than. Here 1 is less than 5. This condition is satisfied. And again here 1 is less than 1. This condition is not satisfied because 1 is not less than 1. 1 is equal to 1. So this condition is not satisfied. And again here 2 less than 5. Is this condition is satisfied because 2 is less than 5. So it will display this record, and again here 2 less than 1. No, 2 is not less than 1. 2 is greater than 1. So this condition is not satisfied. So whenever I write this mathematical operation, I will get output Sai1 AML5 and Shiva2 AML5. So whenever I run this mathematical operation, I will get output Sai1 AML5 and Shiva2 AML5. This is my output. This is known as theta join. Next I will explain equi join operation. The name itself says equi join. That means we need to use equal to symbol. This is syntax. Table 1 join table 2. Here you need to give condition, that is column n equal to column m. I already explained this example. This is example. Student join department. Here I given condition department number equal to DID. Only if there are matching values in department number and DID, I will get that complete record as output. So this is my output. So in this table only 1 and 1 are matching. So I will get output Sai1 CSE1. So this is my output for equi join operation. Next I will explain natural join operation. Here for natural join operation we need to use star symbol. So table 1 star table 2. Guys, if you want to perform natural join operation, then definitely there must be common columns for 2 tables. If you see the student table, in student table there is department number column and similarly in department table there is department number column. So definitely there must be common names for 2 columns and similarly there must be common values. So natural join will combine these 2 columns and it will convert this column into single column. So whenever I perform this operation, so it will combine this department number column from 2 tables into single column. So I get output name Sai Shiva, department number 1, 2 and department name AML and CSE. Natural join will combine 2 columns into single column if there are common column names. Next I will explain outer joins. An outer joins return all the rows from one table and the matching rows from another table. If there is no match, the result will contain null values. Outer joins are classified into 3 types. They are left outer join, right outer join and full outer join. I will explain each of them by giving example. A left outer join returns all the rows from left table and the matching rows from right table. If there is no match, null values are included in right table. This is syntax, just relation 1. This is symbol for left join. Just for join you need to write like this. So relation 1 left join, relation 2. Here you need to give condition. I will give an example. Guys, there are 2 tables. One is student table and one is department table. So just I written here student left join department. Here I given condition, that is department number equal to DID. That means they should be matching in this both columns. So left join will return complete rows from left table and only matching rows from right table. So this is my output. So left table contains S name, department. It will return complete rows. So it will return Sai 1 and Shiva 3. It will return complete rows and only matching values from right table, D name and DID. Here I given condition, that is department number equal to DID. Is there any matching value? Yes. In department number there is 1 and in DID there is 1. So it will return this complete record. So right table contains this complete record, that is AML and 1. But here department number is 3 and DID is 5. There is no match. So if there is no match, it will display null values. So null and null. So definition of left outer join is, left outer join returns complete rows from left table and whereas only matching rows from right table. If there is no match, it will display null values. And next I will explain what is right outer join. This is symbol for right outer join. Just I written here student. Here for left outer join we need to write 2 lines left side, and whereas for right outer join we need to write 2 lines right side. So just I am writing 2 lines. Student, right outer join department, and I am giving condition department number equal to DID. Whereas left outer join returns complete record from left table and whereas right outer join returns complete record in right table. So right table contains department name and DID and values are AIML and 1, CSC and 5. It returns complete rows from right table. And similarly left table contains S name and department number. So I given condition department number equal to DID. So department number equal to DID. Yes, 1 is same in both tables. So it returns this complete record, that is Sai 1 and here department number is 3 and DID is 5. There is no match. So if there is no match, it returns null values. So it will display null values in left table. This is known as right outer join. Whereas right outer join will return complete rows from right table. If there is match in left table, it will display that complete row, and if there is no match, it will display null values. Next I will explain full outer join. This is symbol for full outer join. Just draw lines left side and right side. So student, full join department. Here I given condition department number equal to DID. So S name, department number, D name and DID. These are 4 columns. At first it will check whether department number equal to DID. Yes, here department number equal to 1 and DID equal to 1. So it will display this complete record. So it will store Sai 1, AIML and 1. Second row contains Shiva 3 and here CSC 5. There is no match. So in left table it will show Shiva 3 and there is no match right side. So it will display null values. Guys, full outer join contains complete rows from left table and as well as complete rows from right table. So it should contain complete rows from entire tables. So full outer join should contain Sai 1, Shiva 3 and AML 1, CSC 5. So here there is Sai 1 and Shiva 3 and here there is AML 1 and here this one is left, that is CSC and 5 is left. So just I am writing here CSC and 5 and here there is no match. So just I am writing null values left side. So full outer join contains complete rows from left table and as well as complete rows from right table. Yes, there are 2 rows which is present in first table and there are 2 rows which is present in right table. So this is known as full outer join. This is all about various relational operations in relational algebra. Guys, in exam you may get question like explain relational operations or relational operators. Then you can write this question. Next I will explain what is relational calculus and then I will explain what is tuple relational calculus and domain relational calculus. At first I will explain what is relational calculus. Relational calculus is a query language used in DBMS to specify what data we want to retrieve from a relational databases. Guys, this relational calculus is nothing but it is a query language. Query is nothing but question. For example, we will question to our relational database like select a name of the student whose roll number is 21. It is nothing but a question. So relational calculus is a query language. By using this query language, we can question to our database like what data you want to retrieve from a table. This relational calculus is a non-procedural query language that focuses only on what to do and not how to do it. For example, if you consider relational algebra is a procedural query language. Procedural query language means it will focus both on what to do and as well as how to do it. But whereas relational calculus is a non-procedural query language, that means it focuses only on what to do and will not specify how to do it. I'll give one example. This simple example. For example, there is student table. Now I want to select complete record of student whose roll number is 21. So for that purpose, I need to write this relational algebra operation, that is select The sigma stands for select. Select rule number equal to 21 from student table. So whenever you perform this operation, I'll get output. It will display complete record of student whose roll number is 21. So I'll get output name Sai, roll number 21. Here what I want to do is, I want to select complete record of student whose roll number is 21. And how can we do it? We can do it by using selection operator, the sigma symbol. This is relational algebra operation. So in relational algebra operation, we specify what to do and as well as how to do it. How to do it is nothing but we'll give procedure in order to find above query. So we call relational algebra as procedural query language. And whereas in relational calculus, we will focus only on what to do and we will not focus on how to do. So we call this relational calculus as non-procedural query language. That means we will not give any procedure to solve above query. So it is a non-procedural query language that focus only on what to do and not how to do it. It will not describe about how query will work or how data will be fetched. Just it will explain what to do, that's it. There are two forms of relational calculus. They are tuple relational calculus and domain relational calculus. At first I will explain what is tuple relational calculus. Guys, tuple is nothing but row, or we also call tuple as record. Tuple relational calculus is a non-procedural query language that is used to retrieve data from relational databases. If you want to retrieve data from tables, then you can use tuple relational calculus. It is used for selecting tuples in a relation if certain condition is true. These conditions are based on values present in rows of database table. Guys, I will give an example so that you can clearly understand what is this tuple relational calculus. This is syntax of tuple relational calculus, where T stands for tuple, write here bar, and write here condition of T, where T stands for tuple and condition of T is nothing but, here we need to give condition in order to select tuples and we need to represent this in curly braces. For example, there is students table. Students table contains this information. Now I want to select complete records of students whose age is greater than 20. Guys, here Ramesh age is 21, Suresh age is 22 and Rajesh age is 23. Now we need to select this entire 3 records as output. Guys, just remember that this tuple relational calculus will select entire tuple as output. Entire tuple is nothing but it will select entire record as output. So it will display name, age and as well as grade of these 3 students, Ramesh, Suresh and Rajesh. Now I will write relational calculus query for this. This is relational calculus query. So open curly braces. Inside curly braces at first I written S. S is nothing but we are selecting complete tuples. So just I written here S. Guys, tuples are nothing but rows. Bar, from which table we are selecting? From students table we are selecting complete tuples. So just I written here students of S, where here students is table name, and here we need to give condition. I don't want to select complete tuples. I want to select only tuples whose age is greater than 20. So just I written here age greater than 20. So it will select complete tuples of students whose age is greater than 20. This is my output. This is known as tuple relational calculus. If you want to select complete record, that is if you want to select complete tuples from table based on certain condition, then you can use tuple relational calculus. Tuple variables are classified into 2 types. They are free variables and next one is bounded variables. Variables which do not contain for all and there exist in condition is known as free variables. And tuple variables with for all and there exist in condition is known as bounded variables. And next I will explain what is domain relational calculus. Whereas tuple mean rows or records and whereas domain mean columns. I don't want to select complete record. Just I want to select name column. So for that purpose you can use domain relational calculus. Domain relational calculus is same like tuple relational calculus. Here we will select columns from a table based on condition. It is also a non-procedural query language. That means it focuses only on what to do and not how to do it. In domain relational calculus, we will apply condition on columns, not on tuples. This is syntax. Inside curly braces, you need to select columns and you need to give condition for columns. So C1, C2, C3, so on, Cn are columns. And whereas f of C1, C2, C3, so on, Cn is condition. Guys, same example. I don't want to select complete record. Just I want to select name column. Just I want to select name column of students whose age is greater than 20. Where here S stands for tuple. So instead of writing S, you need to write here name.s. Name.s. That means I want to select only name column. This is domain relational calculus query and this is my output. For example, I want to select only grade column. So just in place of writing name, just write here grade.